All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to get right into it. So I just did a video on bookkeeping and I showed you guys how I do my bookkeeping through an app called Gridwise. So I have 3 different ways that I do my bookkeeping. That's one of them. I'm going to show you the other 2. So this one is through my accountant software. So I signed up with 1-800-ACCOUNTANT. I'm not promoting them. I'm not saying to use them. I personally have had good experience with them, so I don't have anything bad to say, but some people have had bad experiences with them. So do your own research. If you want to hire an accountant, there's a lot of them out there. You can use anyone. That's just the one I chose. It is a little pricey, but I think the price is pretty average no matter where you go. So I pay $2,900 a year, and that is an expense that I personally chose. You do not have to have an accountant. You could do your own taxes. You can go to H&R Block. You can do whatever you want. So that's an expense that's optional. You don't have to have it. I do it because I can afford it. And I feel that having an accountant, especially when you first start a new business, small business, large business, doesn't matter. I think that's a good option for you. You should consider it, but you don't have to do it. So I learned a lot about taxes. Taxes have always been confusing. So this is a great way to learn the tax game. All right. And that's very important, especially as a small business. So, let's get right into it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Not going to give a lot of details. It's kind of self-explanatory, but you're going to have to do your own research. So I'm just going to show you a few screenshots from my phone and show you how this works. So the most important part is right here, the bookkeeping. That is why, one of the reasons why I signed up for 1-800-ACCOUNTANT, because they have a great software for bookkeeping. My business bank account is linked to their software. So every transaction that I do is tracked, whether it's an expense or income, it tracks it automatically. This is just a screenshot of some of the options you have under bookkeeping. The most important ones I use is transactions. That's every transaction that I have, whether it's income or expense, it's going to show there. And I can also edit it. I can edit it if I need to. I use banking. That's how you link your bank account. And I generate reports. I don't use invoicing or anything like that. I don't use payroll. They have all that stuff. I don't use none of it. So generate reports. I'm gonna get to that in just a second, but that's very important. All right. So this is an income statement, and this is the most important form that I need when I file my taxes at the end of the year. So income statement is basically a breakdown of all of your earning, your gross, your expenses, and your net, but it's a total breakdown of it. So I'll show you in the next slide. Let me just show you right here. They have a mileage log as well. And then invoicing, like I said, I don't use that, but again, it's an all-in-one system. So it's great for a business. There's a lot of different softwares that have stuff like this, but some of these things cost extra. So like payroll costs extra. If you do the invoicing, I believe they do charge a fee. So that's one of the main reasons I don't use it. I'm always looking for ways to do things for free if I can. So I just want to highlight some of the things that's on here. So when it comes to your income statement, this is a breakdown of the expenses and it's categorized. So right here you have auto expenses. This is how it comes automatically. It's going to track all your auto expenses. So when I swipe my card at the Ford dealership, right, for maintenance, it's going to automatically categorize that as an auto expense. You can change this to whatever you want. You can create more expenses and name it what you want, or you can change this to maintenance. It doesn't have to say auto expense. So that's another great thing that I like. So it gives you a complete breakdown of all your expenses. It gives you the total amount that you spent. This is where you can look it up by the week, by a month, by a whole year, every 6 months, whatever. You type in the start date that you want to look up to whatever date you want it to end, and you generate the report. This is the revenue. So it tracks your expenses as well as your revenue, how much you made. And this is your total revenue. This is not your net income. This is the gross amount that you've made. And this is the form that they're going to ask for when you do your taxes. So I don't actually use this. I only use this as information. It's just information for me. It's just another tool to help me with my taxes. I'll show you what I do. So again, these are transactions. This is what I use the most. This is my business checking account. And one thing I'm going to say, I blacked out how much money's in there, but I'll tell you, I don't keep less than $5,000 in my business checking account. I do have more money in my savings, but I keep $5,000 to $10,000 in my business checking account at all times. There's a reason why I do that. And the main reason why is because I'm a business. Okay. I'm a business. I'm in a single member LLC. And the reason you get an LLC is mainly to protect yourself, protect your personal assets. So knowing that, if I have to deal with a lawsuit or anything like that, you don't want to keep $30,000 in your business checking account. You don't want to keep $50,000. You want to keep $100,000 in your business checking account. That's just me. That's my personal choice. You can do what you want, but there's a reason why. Knowing that my personal assets are protected, if someone does come after me, I don't want them to get $100,000 out my business checking account. So that's one of the main reasons. And I really don't need that much money in there. There's nothing that I buy that's going to cost $5,000, $10,000 unless I have to pay for my new transmission. You guys know from that video, it was $10,000. So anyways, that's the main reason why. It tracks all your transactions. So whether it's an expense or not, this right here is a due. This one is from my domain, my email domain. I got it through Google and they charged me $3.19 per month. So that comes out automatically. My checking account, it tracks it. I don't have to input it. It automatically tracks it. This right here is an income. Anytime it's green, that's some type of income. And it does label it. I think I blacked it out. That's why you don't see anything here. But this is a payment probably from a gig app or something like that. All right. All right. Now, when it comes to revenue, okay, your income statement, you can look it up by the year, right? So I could look at last year. I could look at the year before when I first started, whenever. This is kind of like an all-in-one. This gives you the whole summary of how you're doing. So you guys should know that revenue is the amount you're making, not counting expenses. Okay. This is your gross. I did black it out, but that's what shows here. And then my expenses, all my expenses. So you can see the revenue, this little green bar shows how much, like based on a graph. And then this is how much expenses, very little. So my net profit is what I'm actually making. That's what I'm pocketing. And my net profit margin is 82%, which is actually really high. So I kind of shared this before that I believe, this is just my personal opinion, that your net margin should be over 50%. I think if you're under 50%, your business is not doing very well. You want to be over 50%. So this is really good. 82%, 80 to 90% is, I think that's excellent for a business. That means that you're profiting a lot with very little expenses. So your goal is to keep the profits high and keep the expenses low and keep them as low as you can. So anyways, I always keep track of this. When I open my account, this is one of the first things I look at. How's my business doing? When it says 82%, that's good. If it was like 46%, we're not doing too good. Right. So, and this is the last one. This is when you first open the app, this is what you see. So the only thing I want to highlight on this is my business, right? This is my business. You can add as many businesses as you want. So if you have 3 businesses, you could do all 3 on this software. They did add new features where you can scan a receipt. So you go to Walmart to buy some ratchet straps or something. You can take a photo of that receipt and upload it and it'll save it for you. I still manually keep receipts. So I don't use this feature, but it's something you can do. And they also added GPS, so that tracks your mileage. All right. So again, self-explanatory, great software to track all your expenses and everything, but I don't like relying on technology. There are times where this thing will lose connection and it'll miss a transaction and I have to manually put it in. So I don't trust technology. This is just a tool. It just helps me with my numbers. When I look at Gridwise, I print that out at the end of the year. I print this out at the end of the year. And then I'm going to show you what I do. This is what I use when I file my taxes and do a manual log. That's next. All right. So this is the main part. I just got 3 things to show you. So this is what I've been doing since day one. And this is what I recommend that you do and never stop doing it. I don't care how many softwares you use. If you do this, you cannot mess up. So the main reason I use a manual log is because I'm an S Corp. And as an S Corp, you have to be on point with your bookkeeping. So I don't need a 1099 to do my taxes. Basically, the IRS says if you're an S Corp, if you tell us that you made $30,000 with say Dolly, or Dolly's now TaskRabbit delivery. If you say you made $30,000 with TaskRabbit delivery, we don't need a 1099. We're going to go by your bookkeeping. Okay. Your log. That's what we're going to go by. So you have to be responsible. You have to be very organized and you don't have to wait for 1099s. So, basically on January 1st, I can file my taxes if I'm ready. So that's one of the main reasons why. And also it's just better. I can't mess up when I do this. I can't miss anything. I can't mess up. And you just got to be organized. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. This is my earnings for February. And I did black out some information because I'm sharing a lot of personal information, but I'm just showing you how I do it. So this is for the month of February. Every month I do it just like this. So the date, this is the date that I worked. The job type, this is the type of job I'm doing. So whether it's a delivery, If I'm doing my dealer's route, if I'm doing a catering order, whatever it is, I list it on this side, the type of work I'm doing. And then I list each job for the day. So you guys know I pretty much work part-time. I don't work like a full day. So I only do 2 or 3 jobs, maybe 4 a day. This particular day, I did 3 dollies, which this is from February, so it was still called dolly at that time. And I put the dolly number, right? If there's some type of number that's associated with this job, I put that, because if I ever have to go back to this is what they're going to ask for. If I have to call Dolly or Dolly has an issue, they're going to say, what's the dolly number? And so I always save that. So contracted by, this is who contracted me to do the job. Jump Logistics, Dolly, Expedite, right? Direct booking. If it's a direct booking, that's what this is. And then I put the amount charged. So amount charged is mainly for direct bookings. So if I have a direct booking, it's the amount that I'm charging the customer. But in this situation, this is the amount. This is not the amount that the customer's charged. This is the amount that Dolly's going to pay me. So when I accepted the job, it said I'm going to make $73. So that's what this represents. Amount received, that's the actual amount that I got after I completed the job. So on this job, I made $111 because I got a tip. So when it comes to the tip, and this is something that's new, I didn't track tips before. So I started tracking tips because you're supposed to. You're supposed to track tips. So anyways, this one says 38. This was a $40 tip, but I put 38 because it was Cash App. See, Cash App tip. And so Cash App charged me $2 for me to withdraw that money. Now, these fees, when Cash App charges you $2, $3, that is a tax write-off. You can write that off. That is tax deductible. So that's another thing I wasn't doing before. I added that. And that's very important. You need to claim that. So I didn't make $40. They took $2 from me. So I made 38, right? So I tracked these fees. And then I put the payment type. This is how I got paid. PayPal, direct deposit, pay card. That's what Expedite uses. Direct deposit, right? Venmo down here. So I even tracked the hours. This is how many hours I worked each day, which is not a lot. And then how much I earned for that day. So typically, like on the 3rd, you see I just did 1 catering order for $40. When you see a job like that, if I work 2 hours or less, I don't count that as a work day. That's a day off. And usually even on a day off, when I say, okay, tomorrow I'm taking the day off, but I'll get an expedite order, right? Because me and my wife are going to the store tomorrow. So I'm going to do an expedite order on our way to the store. That's typically what this is, right? So I don't, if I work 2 hours or less, that's not a work day. That's a day off. That's nothing, right? I still got the whole day. The last thing I want to show you is down here, right here, it says self payments. So I do owner distribution, and as an S Corp, I'm supposed to do payroll. I'm supposed to pay myself through payroll, and I am basically an employee of my own business. So I pretty much pay myself like a W-2, and I have to give myself a reasonable salary that kind of aligns with what someone that does the type of work I do, deliveries, how much a delivery driver will make in my area, my market. Let's say most delivery drivers make $30,000 a year, right? So I would need to pay myself a minimum of $30,000 a year to not be in violation. Okay. Now you have to do it through payroll, and payroll does cost. You have to pay for payroll, and there is a threshold. There's a certain amount that you need to make before the IRS says, hey, where's your payroll? So because I'm a single member, I don't really have I don't make a huge revenue. I'm able to do owner distribution. At some point, I will, if the profits keep going up, I will have to do payroll. So that's something that may come in the near future. But as of right now, I do owner distribution. The good thing about owner distribution, and if you don't know what that is, that's basically me paying myself by taking money out of my business checking account and transferring it into my personal account. That's an owner distribution. The good thing about that is owner distributions are unlimited. You could do as many as you want. There's no set amount. So, and the best part about it is that it's tax-free, no taxes. So basically the way it's supposed to be is you pay yourself through payroll, and payroll, you could pay yourself any amount that you want. You could pay weekly, you could pay bi-weekly, you could pay monthly, you could pay yourself once a year. You could switch it up. You could pay yourself 1 month, pay yourself bi-weekly, and then the next month you pay yourself once a month, and then the next month you could pay yourself never, not at all, and then the following month you could pay yourself every week. You can do it however you want. It doesn't matter. It just needs to add up. So at the end of the year, you need to pay yourself at least $30,000. And I'm just using myself as an example. So I could pay myself on December 31st, $30,000, and I'm good. So there's no set, system of how often you have to pay yourself. You could do as many owner distributions as you want. You could do 12 in 1 month. It's all tax free, long as you're doing the payroll. So anyways, I stick to every 2 weeks, bi-weekly. And I typically pay myself around 12 to 1300 a week because that's all I need. I don't even need that much. Right here, I pay myself 1800. That's very rare. It's rare that I pay myself that much. I probably was doing something, going somewhere, or spending extra money. But typically it'll be around $1,200, $1,300. All right. So I pay myself bi-weekly. And as long as I pay myself at least $30,000, that is my taxable income. Any other money that I pay myself after the $30,000 is tax free. So that's one thing. That's another thing I love about being an S corp. So do your research on that. I'm not going to go into great detail on it because I'm trying to keep this video kind of short. It's already getting too long. And let me go to the next slide. All right. So here's my expenses. This is for March, and this is just an example. I do each month just like this. So I track all my expenses on Gridwise. My accountant software does it automatically, and then I do a manual log. So here's the second. I did get gas that day, and the merchant, right? Who is the merchant? Where did I get gas from? Valero. How much charge? $44. Payment type, that's what I use to pay. So whether I use my business debit card or I use my gas card, I have an A to B gas card that I use, and I use that to build business credit. I have video on all that stuff. The date processed, what date that it actually processed. So a lot of times, sometimes you'll swipe your debit card and it won't, like, the transaction won't go through until the next day or the following day or something like that, 2 days later. So I always put the date that it processed so I can find it on my bank statement. Just want everything to line up. And then receipt. Did I get a receipt? Yes or no, right? So when I got gas, I got a receipt. Up here, it says yes, it's paper, no, it's digital. That means that if it says yes, that means I got a paper receipt, right? An actual hard copy. If it says no, that doesn't mean I don't have a receipt. It just means it's digital. So here's an example. I paid my vehicle registration renewal and it went to the merchant. It's Texas DMV, $83. I put no receipt. Well, that doesn't mean I don't have a receipt. It just means it's digital. So I didn't get a hard copy. I paid it online and I got a digital receipt. So again, very self-explanatory. I track all my expenses just like this, the amount that's charged, and then I put the total amount spent for that day. So like on the second, I had 4 different expenses. It came out to $154. So as you can see down here, I spent $1,031, which is really, really low for expenses. All right, especially for an entire month. All right, and last but not least, my mileage, self-explanatory. Again, this is for January. January is typically the slow month. January and February is kind of slow. It doesn't start picking up till March. So this is how I do it. I put the date that I worked. This is what I do in the morning. I put the date that I work. I put my start time. The start time is always going to be 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I don't do, I start at 10:43 or anything like that. I round up or down. So if it's 9:05, I put 9 o'clock. If it's 9:16, I put 9:30. So that's how I do my start times. I put my starting mileage and I put the purpose. What am I doing? Delivery. Am I doing the delivery and a route? My dealer's route. I have delivery and moving, right? I'm doing a delivery and a moving job. I'm just doing a moving job right here. I'm doing a labor job, labor only. Okay. So I put the type of work I'm doing labor only and a delivery, right? So delivery would be, pretty much like all the gig apps. I'm doing gig app deliveries. If I'm doing gig apps and my route, right? Moving job could be TaskRabbit. It could be a direct booking. I also put whether I got gas or not that day. So if I did fill up, I put yes. And then I also put if I got a receipt. So if I did get gas, I'll put yes or no. If I put no, that's because the machine didn't print out a receipt and I don't feel like going inside the store to get one. Do I have to have a receipt? No. Is it good to keep a hard copy? Yes, but you don't have to. So I use my A to B gas card and it tracks everything for me. So I can always print it out and get that information. It'll show you what date, time I got the gas station, all the information there. They keep that for you. I put the time that I ended my day and then my ending mileage. I put my total miles driven for the day. I told you guys I don't drive a lot of miles. I'm literally 80 to 90, 70 to 80 miles is kind of the average. If I drive 100 miles, it's because I had a lot of jobs or I had a high paying job, but I had to drive a little way. So like where it says location, this is all local. San Antonio is local. It's a big circle city. Right down here it says New Braunfels. So I went to New Braunfels for, looks like a moving job, right? I drove 109 miles. So that's typically the only time you'll see me over 100 miles is when I go out of town or I have a whole lot of jobs and I'm just all over the place. But I don't have to drive a lot of miles. It's really low. So I only drove 1,799 miles for the month. That's really, really low, especially for a cargo van business. But that's why I like doing local work. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it. I'll try to breeze through that as quick as I can. These videos get really long, but it's so much information to share with you guys. And I try to do it as quickly as possible, but I don't want to leave anyone behind. There's a lot of people that's new to this. This might be your first time even looking at the cargo van business. So that's what I'm thinking about. So hopefully this was helpful. But like I said, this is not perfect. This is just my way of doing things. This is me figuring things out. I've had absolutely no issues at all with this. My accountant actually said that I'm very organized, and he said that, you know, there's no issue. Like, this works for me. I did my taxes like this. I actually use my spreadsheet. I don't use Gridwise. I don't use the accounting software. This is what I submit to the IRS. So you basically, you know, you want the IRS to look at this and not even know what type of work I do. They don't know what type of work I do. They could care less. They just need to be able to look at this, and it needs to make sense. Like, my 11-year-old son can look at this and say, okay, I see. Okay, this is start time, got the miles. He did a delivery. I see. Did he get gas? Whatever. This is the time he ended. This is the total miles driven. This is the area he worked. I get it. Got it. You know, same thing with the earnings, right? The earnings, like, this self-explanatory. They should be able to look at this. Oh, okay. So he did a delivery. I see. He did a route. He did a catering order. Okay. This is the company that contracted him to do it. Got it. This is okay. This is how much was charged. This is how much he actually received. Why did he receive $111? It says 73. Oh, because he got a $38 tip and he had $2 in fees. Why? Oh, Cash App. That's why they charge a fee. This is how many hours he worked. This is how much he made for the entire day. It's really that simple. Don't make it complicated. You got to keep it just like this. This is really easy. And then my owner distributions down here. Oh, okay. He paid himself $1,800 for these last 2 weeks of work. Got it. You know, that's all you need to do. And if you stay compliant, you track your tips and all that stuff. Don't try to be sneaky and not track that stuff. Even when I get cash, I put that in there. I got a $40 cash tip, and I'll write it cash tip. Right. Right here. You see down here, it says cash tip. That's $20 that I got off of a dolly job. Okay, $20 tip. I put that in there. I track it. Don't give the IRS a reason to look at you. If you stay compliant, you'll stay under the radar. So that's it. You can copy this system if you like. It's totally up to you, but you don't have to. Again, I'm not an expert at this. I'm not perfect, but it works. I've had zero issues with this. I filed my taxes 3 years straight. Never had an issue as an S corp. All right. So anyways, that's it, man. Hope you guys enjoyed. Y'all have a good one. I'll catch y'all on the next one.